I'm currently reading a self-help book, as I like to do every now and then, and it's called Everyday Narcissism by Nancy Van Dyken. And I wanted to share the 5 myths that we as a society tend to internalize. This is what she explains. She says she writes about what she has termed everyday narcissism, but that this is different to narcissistic personality disorder, which is what some people actually have as a mental disorder. So she says that as a society, we've all internalized erroneous beliefs, I guess. And so she calls them myths that we all live by, but thinking that they're actually good for us, or thinking that we need to teach these to our children or to the next generation, but in fact that they are very damaging. So I want to share these 5 with you. So I've actually put them in my own words because she uses too many words. So I'm using my own words. So it goes like this. So myth number 1 is your feelings are because of me. Okay, so obviously that's not true, but we tend to react as though it's true. So if someone's disappointed us in any way, like if we actually, let's change that language. If we are feeling disappointed because of how something's turned out, we tend to blame the other person, as though they caused it. And that's not true. Our feelings are our own. Okay, so myth number 2 is very similar, actually. Okay, so the same. It's actually the same. So quite the same. So myth number 2 is my feelings are because of you. Did I say that? Did I actually read number 2? I feel like I read number 2. So okay, myth number 1 is your feelings are because of me. Yeah, which is untrue. Myth number 2 is my feelings are because of you. So essentially what we do is we tend to blame each other, I guess. Blame each other for things that go wrong. So it might be like even simple things like, oh, you didn't put enough salt on my eggs that you cooked for me this morning, and now they don't taste great. It's because of you, like, when really it's your taste buds that haven't acquired to the eggs that morning. I don't know, I'm just coming up with just a random example there. So yes, it's funny how, just sort of saying them out like that just can make them feel like they're so silly. Like, who would think that way? But we actually all do in one way or another. Even simple examples like such as work examples, it might be like, I don't know, what would be a work example? Would be like, well, I ran late because my boss just wouldn't stop talking to me and he's so annoying, or whatever. But really it's like, I chose to keep talking to my boss and therefore I ran late, kind of thing. It's okay, moving on. Myth number 3 is your needs, so not feelings this time, needs. Your needs are more important than my needs, which is obviously not right. Okay, that that makes perfect sense, makes logical sense. But then to be aware of how we might be behaving from that point, from that perspective, is key. So I actually relate to that a lot because for a long time I have dropped things that I wanted to do in order to be there for someone else, whether it's a family member or if it's my own husband or my own child, or, you know, and then if you do that enough times, you end up forgetting about the things that you want to do or that you enjoy doing, like, altogether. And that's not good. That's not healthy. Okay, so myth number 4 is rules are more important than my needs or anyone's needs. It's not necessarily just your own. It's kind of everyone's needs. So like this one is an example of that is, and I'll take this directly from her book actually. She gives the example of how a child wants to learn a particular instrument, but the teacher at school says, well, actually the school band needs one more of this other, needs one more of this other instrument. We've already got 2 students playing the instrument that you want to learn, but we really need this other instrument in the school band. And so the teacher and the parents have a big discussion, and the parents discuss it between themselves, and then the parents eventually decide that for the sake of the school band, they're going to tell their child to just learn the instrument he doesn't want to learn because it's contributing to the greater good of the school and the school band. And so I love how Nancy, the author, explains that this is like the child's desire is being completely overlooked. The child went on to learn the instrument he didn't want to learn for 2 years, did very well, and then he ended up learning the instrument he really wanted to learn in the first place, and then gave up music altogether. Never played anything ever again. So that's really sad. I really liked that example because it was more about the rules. The rules was, well, the school has to have a band, and the band has to work with all the correct number of instruments. And so, you know, that became more important than what the child actually wanted to do. So, yeah, I thought that one was interesting. Rules are more important than needs. Okay, so myth number 5 is I'm only lovable when I play the part of pleasing others. So she explains that myths numbers 1 to 4 then create myth number 5. So it's myths number 1 to 4 that are expressly taught, and that the child ends up learning myth number 5, that they're not lovable unless they're always doing these other things, such as blaming others or circumstances for their feelings, or thinking that other people's needs are more important than their own, and thinking or believing that obeying the rules is more important than meeting their needs. So yeah, thought I'd share that. That bit of wisdom from Nancy Van Dyken. Thank you, Nancy.